Welcome back, friends, to APAC North. It's time for our third matchup. This game will decide the final team that goes out of APAC North and into the playoffs for APAC to see who qualifies to the major in North America next month. Excitement all over the place here. We're all grilling with it, as some may say. We got Talon and SANDBOX on the line. This is our time and their time to shine. It's our analyst desk. I'm most of the medic with me are Fresh and Fabian. Friends, let's have a chat about these two, starting off with the ones that are really on the block for this one. SANDBOX Gaming, Fresh.
SANDBOX, it's in their hand. It's very simply in their hand. Take points out of this game, or, I believe, lose 7-5.
One.
And you're in the playoffs.
1 point.
They can lose and still be in the playoffs.
So 5 rounds, they grab 5 rounds?
They grab 5 rounds regardless. They're in the playoffs, I believe.
Don't believe. Let's just say 1 point makes it. Can we agree on that?
Get a point, you're in, lads. It's as simple as that. And do you know what they're going to do? They're going to bring in Good Boy for his debut.
His debut!
In the very last game of the stage.
It's his debut, isn't it?
They're pulling a reverse team secret. They're dropping their coach and picking up a new player.
Yeah, and they've had a different... an indifferent stage, I'd say. They played a lot of Skyscraper, they lost on it. They don't play Skyscraper and they've won on it. And I think it's pretty much, I don't know if it's map specific, performance specific, there's correlation or causation. I'm not so sure, but the fact of the matter is they've got themselves in contention with playoffs, having played with a coach in unfamiliar roles for him, because he was playing on different roles in stage 3 last year when he was on this roster. They're playing in the roles that Good Boy will slot into. So all eyes are going to be on him during this game.
And he has had a lot of hype around him as well, haven't he? He's been praised over and over, and even though Nova was having a really good game last one, we asked them about it. Should they do the replacement? I don't know if I think it's the right decision, I'll be honest. Hard to say, right? It's going to be in hindsight after the game, right?
We're going to stand here at the end of the game. If they win, we're going to say, oh, what a great decision. And if they lose, we're going to say, I'd have kept Nova in.
I mean,
that's
honestly,
because we're professional analysts.
Today, an L would be a massive one for SANDBOX.
Yes.
So they should not. But Talon, again, they're qualified. They're already set through in the top 4. Talon has surprised everybody this stage and kind of come out of nowhere, soared, some may say, even into the stage 1 spot, and they're looking pretty good. They play gatekeepers in this game. So what can they offer here, Fabian?
I mean, it's rather what can they not. I feel like they're offering everything. They're playing good individually. They're playing good as a team. They have the basics sets. They also have really... It's just they are looking like a total, all-around, good at everything sort of team this stage. And that's quite the difference from before. And how big that change is, it's hard to understand, because it's like, where does it come from? Have they started doing more analytics? Have they started doing more dry runs? What is the change that they've made? Because there's something different. What? I can't tell you.
Yeah, and I think if you look back, and it's important to look back historically at this roster, is they could always compete with the best teams, but they would end up losing 4-7, 5-7, maybe scraping an overtime. They're converting that to wins. You saw on the team card there, a lot of wins, and even when they've lost, it's been very close losses. Particularly, and I'm going to harp on about it again, Heady and Demic. They picked them up for stage 3. Didn't look great, to be honest. I was somewhat questioning them picking those 2 players up. However, 6 months with this roster, implementing their ideas, we're seeing Heady as the plant leader of the league. We're seeing Demic just showing up. You did the segment on him getting the 4K in the pre-show. Alongside Aziz, who was always a very good player. Soldier's had a great stage. He's the 4th player I've talked about, and he's their best performing player this stage. And I think it's all just come together nicely for Talon.
Yeah, it's the basics, and it shows how good it is as a team. They know what they're doing, they have their plan set, and they execute it.
Our map then, which one will it be? 9 map pool, 8 are out, 1 is left, and we are left with theme park for this one. A cool one. SANDBOX. I'm going to go to it, so at least staying away from Skyscraper. They're even the ones that are banning it.
Yep.
And they start off on the attack. Talon has picked up defense. Fresh.
So the last time we saw theme park in this entire stage was Talon, and they went all the way with down 1 Kia, 15-round thriller, and they managed to scrape it just in overtime. It was a very defender-sided map. Talon are starting on the defense here. For SANDBOX, we said, don't play Skyscraper, and you're probably good. They've got away from Skyscraper. They've got onto theme park, sorry. And, we don't know what to expect because it is a new map.
I feel it's a rough pick for SANDBOX, even though they are the one that decided to play the map. We go into a theme park attack on the game that matters so much with a new player.
It's a bold call.
The pressure is on.
Yeah.
They take 3 attacks, they win the game. 100%, they win the game. But theme park attack, the most important game for your stage? I wish you luck.
When you're looking to secure at least 5 rounds as well. Yeah,
this is...
it's a bold call.
It's risky.
All right, I'm very excited for it then. That's SANDBOX versus Talon. Friends, this game, it's all on SANDBOX. Get a point and you are through and good to go. So a lot of pressure. New player also that's stepping in the spot. Let's toss it then to our casters. It's Emmy Rams and Turtle Boy. Enjoy.
I had something I was going to say, and I'm still trying to... You're Turtle Boy.
I already knew that was coming as well. It's like
What was I?
just Emmy.
Emmy Rand?
Just Emmy.
Mixed together.
Oh, okay, the streamer. Thank you. Wow, a wonderful compliment this early in the day. Hi, it's us. The 2 people that introduced prior with a game of 2 teams. Also introduced prior, but mainly it is an introduction of 1 player. Good boy.
Yeah, the entry turned 18 yesterday, is now finally allowed to be brought in, and as mentioned on the desk before, it's a very important matchup here for SANDBOX. We spoke about damage limitation basically through the majority of the stage, and now they find themselves here in a position where they can still make playoffs. Now, I've been trying to figure out what the tiebreaker is. I heard Fresh say it's only 5 rounds they need.
I am confused.
And I am confused. Okay, so is this
My brain-
because
my
I'm
brain
going to look
hurts.
over to Fresh? Is this
You
due to
work-
the head-to-head and the mini-league being equal, so we had to round differential or round win percentage at the end, which is step 8 in the tiebreaker? Okay, so step 8, the last step we have besides decide a matchup, is going to be deciding this. Could we theoretically end up on the match break like a... We could. Oh, okay. All right, because it's -2 + 1 3 round. No, we can't actually. Well,
This is thrilling. This right here.
yes, a 7-4. A 7-4 victory.
Just give it to me straight, Doc.
A 7-4 victory for Talon means there needs to be a decided match play between SANDBOX and
There we go.
Fav.
You heard it here first, unless you've worked it out at home and then said it out loud to yourself, then you've already heard it once before. But here, if there is a 7-4 result, then that means there needs to be another game played theoretically.
This is what we think.
This is theory
Of course,
crafting.
We are not the admins.
Who knows? The
we
admins
don't know.
might have some other stuff on the burner. They have some other stuff going. We don't know. All we know is we're on theme, and we have at least 7 rounds ahead of us, and it starts here with an opt to attack from SANDBOX. Now, if you've missed every other aspect of this season, every other conversation around SANDBOX and every other piece of intel, all it has been doing is threading to this moment. Ladies, gents, and non-binary friends, may I introduce you to Good Boy. He has just turned 18 about a day or 2 ago, and he is said to be a bit of a phenom. Now, I don't want to build him up too much, because it's a huge amount of pressure.
Yeah.
You can be the fastest person in the world, but if you're on your first ever race and you slip up, you know, that happens.
It's just, you know, a couple of mistakes sometimes define that first matchup or etc. And Good Boy comes in under incredible pressure here because SANDBOX has the opportunity to make it to a major in a stage that, according to many, could have already been forgotten due to the fact that they weren't able to play with a full 5. Yet, of course, the SANDBOX score, experienced as ever, the synergy always still being there, was able to bring themselves into a position right now where they are fighting for 4th place. It is definitely still possible, but it's Good Boy now that needs to finish the job instead of Nova, who has had an incredible stage, by the way. Absolutely went out swinging for the final time. He played this game competitively. Now, will be the coach and will be calling for tactical timeouts if they are needed, and quickly gets the team, everybody, back in schedule.
Pressure through onto the side here of Mozzie. The C4 is going to be ripped, but it doesn't quite get the full catch outside the door, so instead he's going to see if he can go for the firefight instead. He might have a chance at recollecting it, but the drone sort of gives that game away. The pop, hoping somebody swung around. It's something he's not going to get, but neither is Good Boy, an early introduction there, and it's heady. As we said, it was a player who didn't quite have the smoothest start himself, but has really come into his own here. Harper gets a bit of revenge, as obviously we also lost Aziz in the trade on the far side, so suddenly MV Taylor is inside the site, putting pressure onto a Maestro, caught in the Banshee, but look at this. He's just there. He's going to drop that camera, make sure it doesn't quite get the catch on him. Hot pings and a swing, but there's a Nook doing everything they can. More pressure, and MV Taylor just sneaking through onto Split, finally gets stopped there by the injured Demic, but that already happening with a minute 20 left. It's a bit of a worry for Talon.
I have to say, Demic should have been dead there. He was just watching this camera as well. Envy just walked in, checked to the right, saw the Maestro, didn't register it due to the camouflage, went back on to the rest of the gadgets, and then realized that afterwards that Demic allowed to stay alive here. Might be round deciding in the end. Of course, playing with that Alda on the back. Flashbangs are being tossed in to get a grenade over as well, and the magnets pop off. It is going to be an opening nonetheless. And is there anything to stop this from happening? The answer is going to be no. Opening will be made, a breach will be there. The impact trick will be too late. 44 seconds and maintenance has been opened up.
It was clever. The grenade stopped them being able to get it, but Demic's going to see if he can try and swing in. He has to apply pressure, and he doesn't quite get the connection. Shyle somehow scrapes and survives by, puts it into a 3 versus 1. It was a hyper-aggressive move, but if it had worked, it would have potentially been round-saving 20 seconds. And Static's in. He's going to see if he can try and stick it on the far side. They have the pings. They know he's going for some of the pressure of the plant, but they don't entirely know where. Now it's a post-plant, picks up the kill. But he still has a full health player to pull through, which is the Sledge, and obviously Shyle, who's pretty heftily injured. Both of them are holding just on the swing. Nobody's gone for the rotate, nobody's gone for another position. They're just going to hope that he can sort of find himself over swinging, over pressured. They can wait, they can play this a little bit more passively. He's going to try and go all the way deep and pre-fired, caught, probably on a drone. Either way, in Harper's sight, SANDBOX open up.
They open up. This is the first round out of 5 they need to lock themselves in to that 4th place to go to the playoffs. And with this, well, they will be starting off strong here. Talon, I mean, they started off great. They had the entry, however, weren't quite prepared for the quick entry of MV Taylor, making his way down into the site with that Nook, able to pick up a kill as the rotate came back through. Might have been a bit too aggressive at that point for Talon. I mean, 3 people started running back at the side whilst the Nook was in there. Might have been able to hold that a little bit more patiently there, or work a bit more together on that one, because you know, kind of lost a player unnecessarily there. Either way, 0-1. SANDBOX, 4 rounds to go, or 3 if they want to play a decider match against Fav and make it absolutely nail-biting to see whether or not they will make it. Will be a good way for a Good Boy to instantly get some extra experience in before they will be making it to the playoffs, potentially.
I mean, that's it. It's, as I said, you know, for all the talk we've had about him all season, of this isn't the SANDBOX, there's this player, blah, 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 there's always that caution. You always have to meter your excitement. It would be amazing if the kid popped off. But he's also an 18-year-old, recently turned, playing his first ever comp game of Siege. You know, you've always got to have a bit of a balanced expectations. Sure, some people have had the most unbelievable debuts, and sometimes it takes a bit of time to warm up into performing in the league before you become one of those. Think of all the prodigies we've seen come and go, and some still sticking around. Here, SANDBOX, they're going to see if they can try and stick themselves in with a similar approach before. Harper heading over the top, cracking a couple of hatches, and a little bit of a different approach here from Good Boy, who's picked up the Yana instead. MV Taylor taking over the role of Finker.
Yeah, for now, will indeed. It's Good Boy going on the entry here. Of course, the entry death in the last round, not the best start to your game that you want, but you got to keep in mind, this is the first official game he plays as well. He hasn't played in the Korean Open yet anyway. So APAC North, and a decisive match like this is going to be the first true experience he has on T1 level. Demic, with the entry, will find Shao. It's going to be a good start here. And if you look at the setup, it is somewhat set up to, well, be dealing with the player potentially repelling in from the break room. Not that it often happens, but the walls have been closed off. It's just going to be a single door that they could go for. And Talon kind of expects the rest of SANDBOX to go through Cafe, which is, of course, the more logical site to go through.
Oh, another attempt with a grenade, and it does a bit of damage to Soldier, but he's able to keep surviving. He slinks his way just towards that swing round onto the door of Cafe and underneath the hatch. He's concerned about a direct grenade, but it's just sort of open. It creates a pocket of presence, but with the changes that this map went through, and when those boxes got put either side, it become much more dangerous to try and do anything with. Canos, he's trying to slip his way out, takes a fight a little bit early. Good boy. He was going to go for a swing round on the other side, but he's waiting for a bit of pressure to be pushed from above. There's a bit of reveal and a bit of a slow here. SANDBOX, they're having to opt for a slight rotation here, all the way over to the other side of the second floor. They're going to try and peel their way across the vault instead and see if they can force out the fight on the top of the stairs.
Canos trying to swing across here from the arcade stairs, though. Is going to be shot in the back by... no, Good Boy. Actually, you'll find him there. Finds that headshot. Brings it back to a 4-on-4. And as they start to execute towards the site now, this is his moment to shine. He will be picking up the kill and trade out for now.
Good boy. He's able to get himself off to a little bit of a start here. Drove the point forward in 30 seconds. Demic back behind the shield. He pays it well. Static caught out. The C4 is just a bit too wide to catch Good Boy, who's seeing the pings. He doesn't know if the player's entirely pulled apart, but with Envy Taylor trying to hot-foot it his way over, they need to pick up the kit and see if they can try and make magic with it. 20 seconds and a bit of a swing on a loose player. Do they know this one just off to the shoulder? Well, they know where Good Boy is. And they don't, is the revolt. There it is. Talon, bite back, one apiece.
Yeah, a bit difficult there. I mean, they wanted to go for a very heavy take through the cafe. It seemed like, you know, they jumped in from the window as well, next to the arcade slot machines. No, everything was just set up that way. All guns were watching in that direction. The grenades from below weren't able to catch off any of these defenders. And while you might be taking control of arcade stairs, there is still going to be that shield up on the mezzanine. There's still going to be people inside and also still on that flank in initiation. You cannot just freely walk past there. It would have been maybe a better choice if they actually would have gone through initiation, through the office, open up that way and try and get control of the site, rather than just the very limited space that cafe and the top of arcade give you. I mean, it can work out. You just need to make sure you have some pressure elsewhere as well. Let's just say cut down that hallway from the yellow stairs, for example.
Okay, a bit of a back and forth here so far, and I guess it's how we get to see SANDBOX come together. As they said on the desk, it's that risk, that gamble. Coming here onto theme, which was obviously recently re-added, and leading in with your attacks. It is a hefty map. It's still being tested. It didn't really get a fair swing, obviously, in an aggressive meta. When it was last here, it was in a heavily defender-driven idea of pulling apart ADSs and pixels. But still, the way it gets structured, the way it's sort of built, is it does work quite well.
Because a map we've seen many times before. It's no longer the old iteration with the giant train in the middle of the map.
It's so funny to think about that now.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, there's map changes where you're like, oh, it's a subtle change, like, you know, Club having the connector space on the top floor. This map had a train in it.
Yeah, and like when you're looking at it now, it's like, where did it fit? It's like right here. This is where it fit.
It's so funny to think about.
But I feel that this office area was always there to some extent, just slightly smaller. Either way, is that a lot of punch holes in the wall there? I feel definitely is right top. Yeah. Okay. Well, you gotta make sure you have some angles to push through if you are being pressured. So I guess why not? As the labs are being taken first, but beside the SANDBOX, but by already being taken care of, they want to put pressure down onto Canos. As soon as they spot him out, surely they'll try and get a grenade in from either below or from over the actual balcony there. But yeah, ADSs are going to be able to catch them off unless they're coming from below, but those aren't really too accurate right now.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like they entirely knew where the rotate came through, but there's a player underneath, and oh, he's able to get one. Shyle gets revenge, and at least stops it being monumental, but that could have been huge from Demic. A bit of a gamble, took the drop onto the hatch, I believe, on... Well, then saw if he could piece it together. Soldier and another trade as Harper gets the other piece, but it's heady back and forth on the other side, and Envy Taylor caught out as well then, Computer. And that just leaves Harper alone. A close one on the left with one slightly further back. And Talon, they get themselves 2 in a row.
Yeah, 416 and an ACS watching the angle there. There's no way he was going to be able to walk away with both those kills. It's not easy at all, no. And 2-1, yeah, Talon find 2 in a row. We'll be going back towards the Armory and Throne Room now, where the success was found from SANDBOX. However, this is usually seen as one of those big hunger down sites, right? Like, there's 3 walls. Either of them will open up at some point. There is a way to deny some of them. I mean, you can use 2 Cade Claws to stop the north one from being opened up in a way where grenades over the top will not be able to destroy them. It's a little bit more difficult on the barrels and on the maintenance side. Those will normally open up. Just a simple grenade over the top will get rid of it. Of course, that goes two ways. Just an impact nade could be used to get rid of the exothermic, as that's the only heart-breaching gadget that is being brought here by SANDBOX. That is maybe something Talon needs to lean into a little bit more. Last time, it was just the Maestro on the side. Everybody else tried to rotate back as soon as Untitled was close. And whilst he did carry 2 of those impacts, I mean, he was pushed back quite a bit, you know? I mean, grenades were falling in. He was already quite low. You do not quite want to take the risk at that moment in time. As he prepares it around this time, wants to make sure that he can use these impacts to the best of their ability.
I assume we're not going to see a player sneak through. Obviously, the change is the nooks on the off the board, but also it's not really a play that works twice. And to be fair to Talon, they did almost fight their way back from it. They were able to, well, roughly hold on to a bit of the site control. Then the pressure on the wall came through, and at that point, there's nothing they can do. But it's a slightly different approach here from SANDBOX, and it started not great. There was a bit of a trade, a body lost here, obviously on the balcony. Both Mozzie playing around this sort of quarter, and no, Mozzie this time instead of Valkyrie is going to be that fine purveyor of information and intel. They can place those cams quite across a lot of soft floor, and that's the big danger when you have a couple of C4s in pocket here.
There's a lot of soft flooring indeed, and well, maybe not so much on the actual site. Due to only really the A-bomb side being soft from above. That is where you can use these C4s from the actual side, otherwise you're going to try and use them to lob around a corner or lob them quickly towards an attacker that is pushing quickly towards you. 2 minutes, and SANDBOX have made little progress here. They got the top of Dragon, now starting to drone into maintenance, maybe a little bit of the sides, but you know, also the other hiding spots that defenders could be playing from. Untitled is looking to put some pressure in from that bathroom, just so they have that multifaceted attack coming through on the actual site. It's Good Boy with an attempt to an entry yet once again. Gets in from the gong room, heads towards the Dragon, is hoping for an aggressive swing of any of these players, but that is currently not happening yet.
Now, as pressure comes through onto the wall itself, they're going to try and burn this out. There is the chance for impact tricking. He's blinded. Does he know that that's so close? Well, no, apparently not. It's just a bit of shrapnel that looked like a grenade, but the grenade actually fell the opposite way. Untitled finds Soldier and gets the fall, though, on the far side. The impact does come through, well connected, and Heady finds Untitled too. It's instantly back and forth, as is the continued method of this game.
It definitely is, and they're going to, for the second attempt, actually, with the exothermic. That's also going to get, oh no, it doesn't get tricked this time. Well, placed on a crouch level, so a little bit lower makes it a little bit harder to actually get rid of it. And as the drones start to sweep in, they should be well aware of the position of this Maestro, of Damek, that is playing close on the corner. There's an easy way to get rid of him, is just to get that single grenade up and above or right around the corner. It seems like they will indeed try and go for that bounce.
There it is. He pulls back. He tries to open up on a firing range and doesn't quite get the win out. Good Boy with the far side. Pulls out a grenade at the last second. Pops back to a gun as the pressure comes around from Heady on the far side. Throwing it towards Split. Goes for the bounce, but caught out by the disc as they bounce their way back via. But it's static. Takes the fight on the far side of Split, and suddenly Canos is either side of it as the kit's going down behind the throne. It's a spray over the top. Heady can't quite find the other exit, and Good Boy finds 1-2 more. Either side, there he is. A couple more kills and a big round for the new player.
A big round, but a bit of an awkward one, we have to say, where he put out the grenade twice in the middle of a gunfight, trying to toss it in deep, just for the magnet to catch it in the end there, unfortunately for him. But a 2-2, SANDBOX, they are 2 rounds away from at least securing themselves of a tiebreaker match, and they're 3 away on securing themselves top 4. So, for now, they are doing everything that is necessary. But they would like to have an extra round here, and that is probably what they will be aiming for. A 3rd one on the board on a map like Theme Park. Could be very important at the long run here. Because they would like to start it off with a win themselves rather than a 7-5 loss. I think the win will always give you a bit more momentum into the actual playoffs. But of course, we will see how it goes. 2-2. 2 more rounds to play before we go for the side swap. And now, I'm interested to see whether or not we will see the similar kind of push coming out. Are we again going to see them come in from Cafe, or are we going to see them come in from the east side, from Cash, from CCTV, Initiation, and Office? Because I think there's a lot more to be gained there. If you look at it, a lot of the utility, a lot of the guns are aimed towards the west side of the map. There's just a couple of them that are around the Dragon side of the map. So I think that there's a lot of free ground to be gained there, and especially you can dislocate the members on the defense like that.
Now, they just need one more for this to be working well in their favor here, and as we said, they've been able to learn a couple of lessons. They've gone with slightly different approaches, and that still came down to a bit of a gunfight drive. Talon, there is a reason that they're sort of top of the board, and it's because they haven't let fights fall away from them. They keep leaning back in. They keep responding aggressively with a bit of momentum towards anything that's put in front of them. They make sure that the trade statistic is one that they keep themselves ahead of here.
Yeah, they definitely are. 2 minutes left and some good information here on the side of Untitled. I think he's pinging. It's safe to go up till here. Of course, not quite sure where Hedy, his teammates, are, and as he's watching a cafe door, he's looking for an entry, looking for some opening, and I'm not quite sure where the rest of SANDBOX currently is. I mean, they are droning up the multiple different stairs. Missed opportunities there, actually. It's going to keep some of that information alive, but as a push is coming in from the east side as well, from just a singular player, it seems like the majority of SANDBOX actually, once again, near the west side, near Arcade. As they do find the entry kill this time around, that might be an important change.
Yeah, Hedy dropped from the angle underneath the bottom of the stairs all the way up to that vault rotation. They've lost the Maestro, obviously hopped his way out there, went for the rotate around on the backside. He was trying to keep himself active, but that gun, that operator, it's not a quick and subtle sort of play and player, and that was something that SANDBOX could read in. They have this opener, they have this entry, and they still have a pocket full of grenades, even with 2 gone, now 3. They've done a little bit of damage to the players underneath. Canos, he wants to lean into the fight. He wants to see if he can bite out the arcade window and try and punish the player that's just there on the far side. Shiel pops one, and he's eyeing up the idea of a hop-in. Good Boy has it locked in from underneath. They know they're at least a little bit safe, but the danger's pushing there onto the top of the stairs. We can see it. Canos is going on a bit of adventure with the cover of the smoke to give him some of the support.
He's still trying to hold on to the arcade stairs here, and as he's playing this quite closely, he's also in a prime position to stop any of the jump-ins from the arcade window. Canis, however, being hunted down from below. It's Soldier that finds one. Demic, I believe, got Harper from down below as well, but there's still a second player out there swinging around the corner. It's Good Boy that falls. Only up to Untitled now in a 1v3 situation. The diffuser has been down. There is a player in the vault. Doesn't spot out Soldier there. And that is going to be a 3-2 lead here for Talon, who are starting to get closer. Now a tactical timeout will be called. And that means that, well, SANDBOX, of course, is going to have a talk with the coach Nova now, who has moved into the coaching role, rather than the emergency sub until Good Boy was able to play. And they want to win this last round. And the reason they call this now is because it is an important round. They have seen every single side that Talon seems to be wanting to go for. And that means that there is stuff to talk about, right? Like, there is setups you have seen, there's mistakes that were made, and that means those can be improved upon. That's what they want to do now. They have enough faith into their defense that they're able to win 2 or 3 rounds without a tactical timeout to intervene. So they just need to make sure that they are going to be able to pick up this extra round here on the attack. And we just have to wait and see which side it will eventually be. You can see some of the operators on the background, but that's about it. Resolution is not quite high enough that I can read the actual site we're headed to.
I guess that's always the...
It's also no
tricky
review
thing.
phase anymore, of course, so we won't see that at all.
Dang.
So much has changed.
And yet so much stays the same.
Yeah. What's the saying again? The more things change, the more they stay the same?
That is a saying.
That's a saying, yeah.
It could be the saying. If you want
That's
it
the
to,
one
if
I
you want it
wanted
to
to.
be, then yeah, it's the saying. And
The one I
saying-
was alluring to.
The conversation. Alluring? Alluding.
Alluding?
Alluring is like, oh.
Okay, well, I meant
What an
alluding.
alluring way with words, and the way with guns is the more important one, as we said. SANDBOX took their time out. It's 3-2. They want a third. They want an even half and a balance here. They think that will be enough to drive them forward because they know the importance. They know how close they are. They know how they've taken a gamble, a risk bringing in Good Boy. And Good Boy, you know, he's sitting 6-4. He is pretty much the only positive player if you don't count the even splits of the 1.0 KD. But that's generally over 2 rounds. You got a 2K and a 3K in 2 different rounds, and then the single kill on the most recent one. So over 5, you know, there's been 2 rounds where he's not been active at all and hasn't really been able to get into it. And having one sort of player pop off, still needs the rest of the team to act as a bit of a balance and that leveling around it for those rounds where he isn't able to thread a couple of kills together.
The rounds they managed to win, he did do, well, I mean, not the first one because he was the entry def, but overall, I mean, he did have some good impacts here, and it's just, of course, the first game as well. There are some jitters involved with it. It's just trying to get everything under control. It probably doesn't help as well that it's instantly a high-pressure game like this, where they need to perform or this stage is done and over with. Because we said it before, they need 2 rounds for a potential tiebreaker match. They need 3 to be confirmed, but of course they would prefer a win to close this stage off with Good Boy.
Jaeger, Canos playing hyper-aggressively there for a second onto the arcade window. They were trying to really meet anybody that got close. As soon as the stuns started to be popped around, they pulled themselves a bit back, and it takes a bit of utility out. And also time. It sort of says somebody's here, but actually they're not. And now they've got to go for a rotate underneath. And actually now he is back there. He's going to see if he can step back in and punish the drone game that might have otherwise slipped past him. The grenade is coming underneath. Doesn't quite get the full connection.
These grenades have been anything but successful. There have been so many attempts, and yes, some did get close. If it was just half a meter to the left, they would have been able to pick up the kill, but Talon also realized this. They keep moving around and about, and Aesthetic picks up the very first kill, and Good Boy finds a second. It's a good start to this last final round of this first half here. And now it's going to be up to SANDBOX to try and close this off. But with this, they have a lot of control already. Razorblooms still go off, doesn't really matter too much. There's still a player on the back here, and that's the one they need to find. Some pre-fires are coming through. Damek will pick up that kill, but instantly traded out. Well done by them there. As it's only up to Aziz now, and he's quite low. It should be a SANDBOX round.
That's it. He's back on the site. They know where he was. Good Boy puts the full stop on the end. And if I'm going to open that round by saying, you know, Good Boy has these impact rounds where he threads a couple of kills together, he can't be the Reliance. Or when he does, he can't be the Reliance there. That was, I believe, a triple kill from his pockets. Maybe just a double. Either way,
we'll see in a couple of seconds.
A big round.
It was a big round indeed. And especially that double opening, super helpful there for the side of SANDBOX. Able to find the first, instantly followed up by second, both near the arcade. It opens up so much space. Of course, there was a third player there in the end, all the way in the back. Not quite sure, in the kitchen probably. And was shut down. But, I mean, so much space already given, and so many, like, players and advantage as well, that it just gives you that motivation to continue on. And when a round starts off like that, and you do not get anything that stops your momentum in that round, you just keep snowballing through and through, and, you know, Damek might be able to pick up a kill, but you know exactly where he is at that point. You just get an LMG around the corner to pre-fire him. It's an easy way to get rid of him.
All right, here, Talon, you're 3 apiece. You still have your tac timeout. Let's see what work you can do here. Starting on Throne, which was, in the old sort of plays of Theme Park, the box. It was the lock-in. It was a really heavy site to try and get in. The usual default take that started to come together over the past split is obviously that one down there. Get control of Dragon and above, push down, go across that corner wall behind Throne, and go for the plant just there on the safety. Kind of ignore oil. Leave it off to its own side. It used to be a bit of a rarer push, and it's just not as comfortable, not as confident to be able to get yourself some security on the actual execute of your utility. No,
not really. And when we again see the Cade being brought, I mean, you bring it because they have to waste grenades. That is basically it, because they will open it up. There's no way you're going to keep this close. There's too many walls with too little security to keep them in. So you bring those grenades to get rid of the Cade Claw. If there is no K-Claw, that means you can just open up and suddenly you have 4 grenades you can use at personnel. So that's why the Cade is there. Many would maybe wonder, well, they're opening up anyways, why you're bringing it. It's just to force them to play it in a certain way as well. And that's something Talon did very well. They were able to waste a lot of these grenades. None of them really had any impact on players on the side of SANDBOX. So it's up to Talon now to show that they're a bit more skillful with throwing these high explosive fragmentation grenades towards the enemy.
Wow, they're getting themselves set up. As I said, it's the default take. You make sure you have some of that comfort above, but there's a backline. Good Boy with a pre-ripped C4 wants to see if he can try and catch over this breach and get a player unsuspecting. If you've not seen it before, the reason you do that is to avoid the rip sound, so they don't quite know until it's flying at their face. That is the only call. And that's why they have themselves prepped and ready to go. They'll probably drain it out. They'll probably get an idea. And to be honest, we've seen Good Boy juggle explosive utility before. It would not be the first time.
Yeah, as you said, like, besides the Velcro ripping off, the only other audio cue we'll get is the explosion of the Nitro. So there's not much in between there. It's either, hey, it's coming, or it has blown up just a second ago. So you have to look out, and that's exactly what Aziz is doing. He's looking over. Flashbangs will be tossed in, and this will be the cue as well to get the Nitro over. It gets sniped out, though. They were well aware of that happening. It's, of course, a very wide opening. They knew that there was something that would be attempted. The impact is not going to be successful. The opening will be there due to the crouch hole. And interestingly, barrels has been opened up. They have made it as a bit of an extension for the defense side itself, it seems, which means they can always go for a bit of a retake from a multiple different direction approach.
Demic finds the opener, but there's the cut across the back. They sort of had it as a bait, but Demic in the meantime is putting all the pressure in. There's pings on the down player outside. They might go for a hot hop just to get the drop, and there it is. Static locks them in, but Soldier with the Ossa shield, they're just going to lay that down and see if they can get the plant. Another body for Canos. And they're able to find their third for the game. There's pings across the board. They can't quite get the straight shot on that player. As soon as they go through that gate, it dropping reveals that idea, and, well, they know where Shial is. He's going to be blinded, pushed back, and forced over. It's an opening round for Talon.
Wanted to use the shield there to provide some extra cover for the plant, of course, and if it wasn't for the thermite actually near the dragon door, it could have worked out. He could have snuck in right behind the throne and able to potentially pick up that double kill. Of course, it didn't happen, and that leaves us with Talon 4, SANDBOX currently on 3. Gonna say it again, an extra round means they, between an asterisk here, might play a tiebreaker match against Fav. Of course, I do not know every tiebreaker rule by heart.
What?
I'm sorry, Europe and NA have changed theirs over the years, so that got me confused.
Yeah.
And then it seems like APAC stayed the same, which then would mean we get a tiebreaker matchup. But of course, we'll get confirmation of League Ops if that would be the case. What we do know, though, is that 2 rounds extra for SANDBOX would basically remove all doubt. That should mean that they are through. That should mean they are number 4. And of course, a straight up win or a single point would also remove all the doubt.
What was the potential result that 7-4, was it?
A 7-4, yes.
Okay.
And I don't want to say
We're going to get it.
But 3 days ago,
this.
3 play days ago, I said we could end up on a triple to quad way tie for this 4th spot.
Yeah, well, now you've said it.
I jinxed it into existence possibly here.
Wow. We'll see. We're not there yet. It's 4-3. It's been back and forth this whole game. There's only really been one moment where Talon were able to thread 2 rounds together, but since then, this trade, this 1-to-1, has been in their favor. And it's down to SANDBOX to see if they can make sure it doesn't get any further into their favor. There, it was a very good take. Seemingly, they started to shut down a lot of the players that were in the pockets of SANDBOX. And you sort of question why, because sure, they're going for this breach. They know where it's going in. But was it that SANDBOX players were throwing themselves into Talon-laid traps? Was it that Talon had these angles? It's always that tricky thing about this map is you've sort of got that big corner with a lot of different levels and layers to try and push yourself in. They also suffers through a drone hole. A little bit, but enough to keep themselves going.
Drones being tossed in here. Information needs to be gained. And of course, Soldier... Actually, fun thing is, if you put down the Ossa shield, the Aruni serial laser gate gets disabled. But there's nothing you can really do after that because, I mean, you cannot jump through when the shield is still there. So there's nothing that Soldier will do there. Just use... That's a very dangerous spot to be in, Demic. You're going to lose your life. Yeah, exactly. Someone just got shot from that, Demic.
Yeah, that's a bit of a missed call, a missed moment there. I don't know if they thought the player was gone, but he obviously wasn't. Static took a man and a half through a single drone hole over a period of 30 seconds. And that is just one of those mistakes that they'll be kicking themselves for a bit later. They've still not been able to force him out of this position. He's still trying to fervently play it. They've at least done some damage underneath, and they're trying to cook some grenades and see if they can try and get maybe a fuller connection with him. But it's taken, what, 1 minute 40 seconds to clear this player out of this one position. Nobody else is stacked up or set up anywhere else at the minute apart from one player underneath.
Now, this is it. They just want to go very aggressive through this cafe here. And, well, as he falls, it's going to be, as he gets Envy Taylor, sorry, it's going to be a bit of a help, but they need to be very careful. There's still grenades from below. Our Ciroteros are going to be moving in as well to try and dislocate the Aruni. However, it falls a bit too far. It's not going to be doing too much pressure towards the Aruni, and that means they can hang on. And just look at it. Everybody currently around that northwestern side. We have 1 below, 2 on the actual floor, and 1 that just went to the roof that could be going for a potential flank later on. But it just makes it really easy to defend against. You hold the drop in, you hold the jumps, that's it. And that is the round.
Well, Static is still fine. Canos wants to try and make his way up, but the smoke canisters are stopping that. There's still a bit in pocket, and the E1D pops off. They're keeping a keen eye on any of the other potential drops, but it's a bit of a drive there and a catch off. Canos finally stops the roll of that Aruni, but is almost instantly picked back up by Harper. One of them actually screams their way through onto the site itself. One's inside. The pings are coming through. They're trying to catch the loose Lion, who's just dumped her on the back of Cafe, but with Azzy's deep inside the site, there's a man behind that shield, and he gets caught the other side. A bit of revenge, but it's a 1 versus 2. Now they know he's there. Now one's gone underneath as well. They're going for the rotate all the way around the side. They've got to time this together, but he's a little bit late for the party. There it is, and Azzy's somehow pulls that off. It's a big hot ping that comes through the player. They know where he is. He's behind the shield. He almost wins it. It's scrappy, but it's SANDBOX.
How was he able to get that kill? First of all, they were a bit late there, but they managed to survive, and there's some sighs of relief here. This is round 4, ladies and gentlemen. That is going to be potentially that clutch round, the one that they need here to play for a tiebreaker match. And now, just a single one extra, and they are confirmed 4th place, Emmy. Just an extra one. An extra round, all they need. There's going to be quite some opportunities here, but it seems like a tech timeout will be called by the side of Talon. So they're looking to end it right here, right now. 3 rounds in a row. That's what they want.
I mean,
give the people their tiebreaker matchup.
Well, we don't even know. We don't even know.
We don't know, but I mean, that's what we're hoping for right now. I wonder how. I'm still waiting for League Ops to respond to me. Please, League Ops, if you listen, let me know.
League Ops, do you watch? You watch Siege?
Please, League Ops.
Okay. I mean, it was almost SANDBOX letting everything flitter between their fingers there.
Yes.
They got given a free kill. There's no two ways about that. It was a mistake from the side to drop a man in front of a drone hole, hoping that the guy watching it had been lost.
I'm still so confused by that as well.
I mean, I think they're probably not confused, but frustrated for sure. Sometimes those things happen. Sometimes those things happen, but it's a free body. And then from that point onwards, you know, there was about 30 seconds left for the terms of the push. We saw how close the diffuser came to not going down. It was why you always make a play. If there's a lesson of almost making a play, him almost winning that round from nothing.
You see, this is why I do not go off the diffuser. Like, there's always an opportunity that the other player is coming too late. And, you know, if there's a chance to win, you should take it. And letting the time run out while you have a diffuser and kit in hand is never going to be the play. This as well. Soldier's like, oh, Demic is right in front of the drone I just got shot from. Oh. Yeah, maybe should have told him it wasn't safe.
I mean, we're not in the comms.
We're not in the comms, but it's like he's looking at it. It's like, is he going to get shot? Is he not going to get shot? It looks a bit silly after you know he just got shot from it himself there. Either way, SANDBOX on 4. And that is what we were looking for. An extra round, and they find themselves in that playoffs. However, after we had the Mexico Major last year, when a tiebreaker match between Cyclops and Team 1 led to Team 1 winning it, I believe there was also a 7-4 scoreline we were talking about back then.
History were
7-2. Okay, history. 7-2, tiebreaker match, win the entire event.
It's still crazy to think.
Let's go 2 steps back, right?
Okay.
Tiebreaker for the playoffs match to qualify for the major, to SANDBOX winning the major. That would be something.
Now, I mean, it would be something.
Incredible storyline.
You could say that about
a lot of things, I know.
but it would be something. And here, all right, Soldier, they crack open that window and get the side of the Aruni gate, and any players that might be behind it, they know they played this power position before. The power position being a drone hole past an extinguisher and arcade. Okay, if it works for you, it works for you. They're going to see if it can work twice. Surely Talon aren't going to lose anything to this again. They're keeping themselves safe and a bit of a distance here as the drones roll through. A heavy cave presence once again is their attempt on an approach, but obviously the site is slightly shuffled further over, so they do need a bit of width here, and you can see it's coming from Heady, sort of at that cutoff point by the bathroom window.
Gonna have one of the drones taken out, so just taking a small amount of damage, nothing too much. Of course, the Talon shield's still around the corner, and the adrenaline surges that can be used to heal you back up to full. Kenneth needs to be a bit careful, though, because he sticks himself out to the back, actually walks right back into the spray of the 9mm, and finds himself picked up. It's going to be entry kill here. SANDBOX, find 1, 4 more to go, and you are in playoffs. It is as simple as that. You're just counting them down now with Good Boy as your new addition. Many would have said, isn't it better to play with Nova, that last one? they had faith. And for now, it seems to be paying off. But we just have to wait until that final confirmation as well.
Well, they're ready to see if they can try and burn through the Serena Gate, force them into a trickier situation. They've lost the Finker, but they'd already used at least a little bit of their buff. However, most importantly, they lost that loose player. As I said, it's quite important. So as that, Demic drives his way through, has really started to light up in this game and finds himself able to put the pressure onto the single one. Soldier goes for a bit of width here as he suffers on the far side. The shoulder comes through, and it's Soldier that locks in Harper. The pinch and the pressure is stopped by Shyle, and the cross cut off, and he pulls his way back through the double door, back towards the safety of the vault and the site itself. They've had a bit of a back and forth, but it's a heavy blood loss to try and get themselves some control of the play. And as the Oster Shield is thinking about setting it up, they obviously have the bait and the trap there of the Frost just over the breach. It should get revealed as they set themselves.
Blow it up.
That's it, 30 seconds though.
Yeah, they're blowing it up just to make sure that they have the free passage if they want to go for a Plantier initiation, and it seems like that will be indeed their plan. There's 20 seconds left. They need to push now.
Well, how are they going to try and find their way through? The Flores drone's going to do a bit of damage behind the big pillar, but it's MV Taylor playing either side. He is safe. And 15 seconds mean they've got to try and make him not safe. Flashes come through first. There's a bit of an ADS catch, and MV Taylor over the side of a shoulder to get one, and the shield. It's Good Boy to put this onto the rest. Do they have themselves a playoff spot? Theoretically, yes, if the numbers are correct. I'm sure they'll confirm it in a moment, but the game is still afoot. And for the first time since the very first round, SANDBOX are ahead.
A little cheer came out from MV Taylor there. I'm not sure if they actually, like, if the players knew 5 rounds is all you need. I'm not sure if that's something you tell your players right before you go into it, or if you just let them play the game and see if they want to win it, because it is a bit of extra pressure, just that 5 rounds. Either way, they have them, and with that, you see it on the live rankings there. 3rd place currently. They got what they need. Now they need to lock it off. Let's see if they can lock it off with a win. It will be great for momentum heading into the playoffs, of course. What we do know is that a tiebreaker match is off the boards now. We're not gonna see that anymore. And well, SANDBOX, they have played incredibly. I mean, they had a very interesting way to put up the Capcom traps. You see, yeah, one on either door. So if one explodes, the other one will go along. But the one is aimed for each door.
It's teamwork.
Teamwork makes the dream work.
Teamwork makes the dream work and kills a man.
Either way, the point I was trying to make, which I kind of halfly forgot about. What was I talking about before this?
Oh, I don't know. I don't think it's you.
Well,
I honestly don't
not
actually
the only
know.
one,
You
so.
threw yourself off with that whole Capcan thing, and now I'm just thinking about Capcans.
Yeah, Capcom traps everywhere. We've seen quite a bit of them today. So,
Talking about there's not going to be a playoff match.
yes, unfortunately, for the viewers who
Right,
might have
right.
won at one. But, you know, oh, now I know the point again. There we go. SANDBOX, of course, they started off a bit roughly here, you know? Like, everybody knew Good Boy was going to be coming in, but not until he was 18. Then they started to step up, and we talked about damage limitation throughout the stage due to relegation being over a year. But it suddenly turned into a spark of potentially making it to the playoffs after week 2 had gone by, and well, right now they have found themselves in the playoffs. They turned that damage limitation into a playoffs, into a potential major spot as well. It would be great to see them there with their new addition, Good Boy.
Wow, he's had a great day so far. Can he just be that special force and turn it into a day he probably won't forget? If they pull off a win, he might be a shoo-in for an MVP. Demic is really the only one that's putting a lot more pace and presence onto that title right now, but Talon sits around down. They got to see if they can try and drive that force and pull a little bit more back into their favor. Slow drones reveal no bones as they found themselves a little bit empty here over the top. Charlotte is on a swing around the stair set itself, but otherwise there is nobody to try to stop them. They can set themselves up for this control of Dragon. Yada Yada talked about this before. Yada Yada lets eyes onto the site now as they get a little bit more width and a little bit more of an idea of how they can break through that wall, which is for them currently surprisingly nobody's immediately behind it.
Yeah, not yet, but still within range to actually get an impact around the corner. Good Boy takes a small amount of damage, still has that C4. That's a very long impact to come through, and actually successful as well. Just look at the range of that. Now they decide to actually hammer it open, try and get a bit more safety out there, just for a bit of extra securance on actually opening up this wall. And as he's again doing it crouched right underneath, and that will not get it. That is properly covered off by the soft wall there, and that is the opening as well for the attackers.
Professional response, and they use both to get it open. As we said, it's more of an eventuality with the height of that wall, and as we saw there, the demonstration on the soft. But look at this. Every single player is still standing. The OS is trying to find a way through. We've seen them suffer on the deployment before. There's angles being watched and traces flying past. Soldier gets it deployed, and it instantly gets destroyed in his face, full of plexiglass, and half of his health gone. But Aziz actually takes the rest of good boys, and Demet gets one of his own. That backliner throne is now gone. They're seeing if they can try and get a swing around at the back of Oil Pit, which isn't being watched this time, but the diffuser is cold now. There's an important take. Harper's getting everybody in front and behind him. Suddenly, it's all lighting up. SANDBOX here. A handful of seconds. He's too far away from the kit. The three players just have to keep themselves a little bit watched and safe, but Static has other ideas. SANDBOX a map point.
Well played by them there. Just that last player near the throne, and even though the opening was there towards barrels, a little bit off timing there. He was challenging the players in maintenance. As soon as he was done doing that, he swapped around and 180, knew someone could be coming in from the barrels window, and rightfully found the kill as well. Well played by them. 4-6. A single round left to get those full 3 points. And they have 2 opportunities to do so. Bunk and Daycare is coming up next. And we are seeing a Frost again, maybe for a bit of a reverse bait this time around, trying to get someone to jump in from the CCTV or initiation side of things. But of course, they were using the Retiros quite well. And okay, so you see that jump over point? You're trying to bait in an attacker to be like, hey, it's free, it's open,
it's free real estate.
You can come get it, not knowing there is a Frostman underneath. It is something a lot of people do nowadays, especially in ranked as well. It catches off quite a bit of people there. However, professional players do not like taking gunfights while they're jumping or vaulting over things. It's just an awkward situation. So if you can open it up, if you have utility to open it up, you do open it up, because it gives you a lot more freedom of movement when you're in that gunfight, in that engagement. And that's what they did there. They used the Retiro to get rid of that wall. And with that, also the Frost map. Now, that's a cheeky one, because I don't think, well, if there's a pre-placed drone somewhere, you're going to be going off that. You don't think someone is going to be in lockers. So if you go through that door quickly, you might find yourself caught off instantly.
Well, I guess we'll see if Canos is the potential, but instead finds himself, well, I was going to say elsewhere. Oh, it's like you're watching, it's like a pantomime. You're like, they have the angle above, they have some of the destruction. The open hatch is also maybe a bit of a bait. They're hoping to try and pull some players in underneath. You do have, obviously, grenades are always still a big presence of the current play. We've talked about the soft floor and where it can have. And it's, to be honest, it's a lot of the pockets around sites most of the time. It's these little places nearby, these corner holds, like we've seen pressured here. Soldier is once again trying that Ossa roll, seeing if they can get this push and this breach in against an Aruni that still refuses to move.
It's not going to move indeed. He's going to use that drone on to the best of her ability. As the Retiro will pop off, it's not going to be doing too much here. And the first shield will be deployed. Static this time, not able to find any ankles, even though there seems to be a couple of them close to it. And as the Seer Laser Gate does get burned, it gives an opportunity to actually take a fight through for the attackers. They could be jumping in as soon as they want, and it might be, again, a bit of an orchestrated attack where you have one coming up from the staircase, you have one coming up from the window, and Cafe at the same time, but Static shuts down that first part of that wheel, the first part of the clock, I have to say. And that means that they're relying on one pressure point less.
Well, blinded, but Heady's gone for the rotation underneath to see if he can try and fill in. The smoke canister keeps them not intently pressured, but the drive of Flores drones is a little bit relentless here. The Ossa's repositioning to see if they can get a little bit more width, but it's almost cut in half, and here's MV Taylor 2 for 2 on firing over the shoulder of a shield. An expert at pulling apart the bit that needs it. There, still swung and pressured, finally ended. Static on the far side, but it's pulled at least another player out of position and taken one out of commission entirely. Heady trying to find the fight here, and it does expertly take the cap off of Harper, and that gives them a bit of a run here. Rafters with the E1D echoing over the top. They're going to try and spill their way in. Buried on the corner aside. It's a dangerous place to be in, but if it goes untested and unchecked, it could be huge. Demet with the kit inside Cafe. The other two stepped up and droning their way through. They see that player through the soft, and he gets instantly caught out and absolutely removed from the side itself. They're still trying to drive their way through. They just have to find that loose player here, and as the plant is starting to go down, Shael and Good Boy are slowly moving up. They have an idea on where the kid is. The plant is connected. There's a triple across the board, and there is SANDBOX. Good Boy finding a double of his own, and then the one end there from Shael. It was a good attempt from Demic. It was a good play in a couple of rounds from Talon, the team that still ends at the top, but SANDBOX. I mean, as I said it a couple of times, welcome to the league, Good Boy.
Welcome to the league indeed. The MVP as well instantly to come through, and finally, Charles, you're gonna do it. It's been so long. The thumbs up are coming through. The mask is back on as well. They will be headed towards the playoffs, and they will be doing so proudly. Good Boy freshly coming in, instantly an MVP drop on his debut. I promised to say that sentence there, so I had to do it. Well played by them.
I think that's it as well. If you're looking at what the expectations we have for the player, coming in and having the nerves or whatever is one thing, but being able to pull out an MVP performance, it's the perfect introduction. It's everything that you would want, and I'm sure it's something that they'll be talking about a lot on the desk as they break down, as we finally have our top 4 selected. Let's go to a quick break first.